I think that British plugs are amazing. Do you?
Fine.
So I want to prove to you how amazing they are.
Okay.
By showing you some of the features that they have and what makes them so amazing.
Okay, fine.
So, British plug. Okay. Just to show you, by the way, this is just an extension lead. Okay. And this is what it looks like. Yeah. The plug itself. And this is the other end of this extension lead. So this is kind of what you would have on the wall, right? This is the socket part. And fit together like that. Okay?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, I'm just showing. Right, okay. So, a little bit of history, okay, as to why what makes these so amazing, okay, is that they're over-engineered. Mm-hmm. This plug is massively over-engineered compared to other ones. And the reason is that in post-war Britain, there was a shortage of copper, okay? And what that meant was, so you know in a house today, you'd have different circuits. So in your house, you'd have like a circuit for the lights and a circuit for the sockets and a circuit for the cooker and so on. They only had enough copper to make one circuit. So instead of putting the safety devices in the house, they put safety devices and things into the plug. They made the plug safe.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
So that it's almost like distributed. The safety is distributed. Mm-hmm. Okay. In order to prove this, I've made a little chart and we're going to list out some of the features and compare this to an American plug and a European plug.
Okay, right. Okay, fine.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you believe me? Do you believe me yet that this is the best plug?
I don't know. I don't know if there's much in it.
So first thing, fuses.
Fuses.
Okay? Fuses. Do you know what a fuse is? Shall I explain this to
I know what a fuse is. I don't have to deal with them very often.
Yeah, it's a little bit of wire.
Yeah.
That is designed to fail when the appliance draws too much current.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so when you design if you say you're designing a hairdryer, you know that it's going to use, say, 2,000 watts. Mm-hmm. And if it suddenly starts using more, like as if there's like a short circuit or something bad's happened, the wire in the fuse will burn out and that will break the connection. So it's like almost like something that's designed to fail, a bit like a sprinkler in a building. They have a little vial of liquid in that's designed to, so that's like, it's like a plug in the sprinkler. And when it heats up, it shatters and then the water can come out and that's how they work.
Oh, okay. A different type of plug.
Yes. Which does, by the way, mean that, you know, when you see in the films when all the sprinklers go off at once,
yeah, that
wouldn't actually happen because each sprinkler has a little vial of liquid in that expands at a certain temperature and causes that individual sprinkler to start.
Oh, right, okay. So they can't all set off at once.
No.
They all have to be hot.
Yeah.
Okay, right, fine.
Anyway, so yeah, fuses. So, thought I'd ask you, which of the plugs that I mentioned, UK, US and EU, which ones do you think have a fuse in?
All of them, for safety?
No. Only the UK plug commonly has a fuse in.
What?
Yeah, only the UK one has a fuse inbuilt. And it's for what I said before, it's the fact that the safety had to be distributed because of the lack of copper. So it's a safety device, it's its own little circuit breaker in the actual plug itself.
Oh, okay. And no other plug has that?
Not that I'm aware of, I could be proved wrong, but okay. US and EU plugs do not commonly have fuses in them, only the UK plug does. So it makes it great for safety. So the next thing is an earth, okay? So you know what an earth is, right?
It's where we all live.
It is where we all live. But in electrical terms, it's like a connection to ground so that if there's a problem, the electric goes that way rather than through you, right? So in this plug, it's that pin there.
Oh, so I don't become grounded and get electrocuted?
Yeah, so you don't get electrocuted. It theoretically goes through there.
Okay, which one is it on there?
The long one.
Okay.
You can see that, yeah.
Right.
So, which plugs do you think have earth?
US and EU only have 2 pins, don't they? So does that mean they don't have an earth?
This is the quiz. This is the quiz.
Okay, right. I think that the US will have an earth and a live. No, that doesn't work like that, does it?
No, you need at least live and neutral to make it work. Earth is kind of optional, I guess.
So only the UK has an earth?
Wrong.
What?
So all of them actually have an earth. The UK is different because it's the only one that always has the earth pin in the plug.
Right.
European plugs and American plugs, it's kind of an optional. Like a lot of the plugs don't have it. A lot of them are just 2 pins because they don't need an earth.
So why don't they need an earth?
So if something's got plastic on the outside, it's called double insulated. If something's got plastic on the outside, like, that TV, in fact, people can't see this, but like a TV, for example. So a TV, for example, is plastic on the outside, so someone couldn't get an electric shock from it anyway.
Okay.
So it doesn't need an earth. But in the UK, it still has the pin because we need it for other reasons, which I'll go into in a minute.
Right, okay, fine.
But yeah, all of them can have an earth, it turns out.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So the next thing, which I think is quite an interesting feature that people may not know about, is shutters.
Right.
So this actually talks about the more of the socket than the actual plug itself. So I have this here. Now, I don't know if you can see this, David, but we'll do a close-up on this.
Yeah.
But can you see there's like red plastic in here?
Yeah.
So if I was a child with a screwdriver
Okay.
wanting to cause myself great harm,
Right.
don't try this at home, by the way. I can't actually poke that into... So remember, these are live and neutral. This one's the earth.
Yeah.
I can't actually poke anything in there into the live or the neutral. So I can't get an electric shock, okay?
Because there's shutters that come down.
They're shutters, and what happens is... I'll show you. I'll try and show you. So if you notice, when you put the earth pin in, the shutters actually open up. Can you see that?
Oh, okay. So if you poke through the top one, it opens the bottom too as well.
Yeah, so the fact that this pin here is longer
Yeah.
and goes in first, it opens the shutters to allow the other pins in. So if I turn this upside down, actually, you'll see even better. Look. Can you see how the shutters are opening?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and if I do the same thing that way, look,
It won't go in.
I can't put those pins in. They
Yeah.
won't go in.
Yeah, okay.
You can only make the connection.
So that's a safety feature to protect.
Children.
Yeah, well, anyone who wants to poke a plug.
Are you a plug poker? We're all plug pokers.
Where's this going?
I don't know what that means. Anyway, so shutters. Which plugs? UK, US, European. Which of them have shutters in, do you think?
I reckon the UK and the EU. EU's all about safety.
Well,
America, not so much.
I'm pretty sure it's just the British plug that has the shuttering
okay.
system. So yeah, if you're a European child or an American child, then you will get an electric shock if you poke your fingers in a socket.
Right, well, don't do it anyway.
Don't do that, yeah. The next thing that I wanted to tell you about, which makes the British plug the best plug, are these little bits of shielding here.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so those bits don't conduct electricity.
Right.
And what that means is, if you've got a plug, if I can show you this, like this. Ooh.
Oh, what, that's half in?
Half in, half out, yeah?
Yeah. And you had tiny little fingers and you were like trying to poke.
Yeah, you can't actually get electrocuted. If it's in far enough to make a connection, then the exposed part is
Okay.
plastic, so you can't get an electric shock.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So which plugs do you think have that kind of shielding on them?
I think I've seen this. There's no reason that an American plug shouldn't have shielding. Same with EU. It's just a little bit of plastic around the base end of the pin, isn't it?
Yeah?
Okay, so I think they all have.
Well, from my research, only British plugs have that shielding.
Oh, okay.
So far, things aren't stacking up well, are they, for the American plug or the European plug? But if I haven't convinced you yet, I've got a couple more things.
Go for it.
Okay, so the security in the wall. Okay, so what I mean by that is, you know, if you have like the MacBook charger, which has like, it's quite heavy, and it fixes straight into the wall, right? Now, if you have a British plug, because there's 3 pins and they're quite sturdy and they fix in quite well, if you put a heavy plug into a wall, it stays there quite comfortably until you pull it out.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if you've ever seen the US plugs or European plugs. They'll quite often be like hanging out and like half falling out. Do you know what I mean? They like don't go in properly.
I stayed in a hotel in America one time and I plugged in the kettle and it just sort of like hung out in some really
Yeah, it feels really
dodgy way.
It doesn't give you a sense of security, does it? When you're dealing with electricity, you want to feel safe and secure.
It definitely felt like it could just drop out at any moment. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I think we've already answered this question.
Okay, so it's just the UK.
But yeah, the UK plug only is, secure in the wall and stays where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, okay.
So the next thing I want to talk about is the wiring inside the plug and how that it's fail-safe or can be fail-safe. Mm-hmm. What I mean by this is if you open up a British plug, the wires sort of take a certain path through the plug itself.
Okay.
And what that means is if you were to yank on the cord really hard, that the first one to fray and detach itself inside the plug would be the live.
Right, okay.
The second one to detach itself inside the plug would be the neutral, and finally the earth, because the wires are routed inside in such a way
Right.
that, yeah, if you pull on it, they detach in a certain order, which is considered the safest order. And someone's actually thought about that and designed that into the plug.
That's really interesting, yeah.
Yeah. And so which plugs do you think have that?
Well, again, there's no reason why they all can't.
Well, I actually struggled to find information about this, so I could be wrong. But from what I've found, I don't believe any do apart from the British plug.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so if anybody knows different to that, write in the comments.
Yeah, please do. And so we have one factor left.
Okay.
The last factor, and it's the most important one, the most crucial one.
The X factor.
Yeah. So, can your plug be used as a booby trap?
What are you talking about?
So this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Okay, so the one thing that's actually more of a disadvantage to the British plug than an advantage is that when they fall, if you drop one on the floor, they are weighted in such a way that it will sit like that. Okay? And you must have had this before. If you tread on one of these things, it's incredibly painful.
It's the worst thing in the world. It's worse than stepping on a Lego brick.
Yes, it really is awful. So if you think about it, though, the American and the European ones don't have this because they're more flat, so they sit quite nice and flat.
Yeah,
whereas the British one, because it's weighted, it will just plop like that. It doesn't fall like that. It wants to go that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't go like that. It always wants to sit flat, and you always put your foot on it.
Is that by design?
No, that's not by design.
It's just...
No. I mean, I'm being tongue-in-cheek and saying, you can use it as a booby trap. If you're James Bond, you can lay your plug out in the middle of the night, and so when the baddies come in, they'll go, ow.
Which Bond film's that? It's the worst one.
Yeah. Wow. Extension leads never die. Don't know. A fuse to a kill?
Should have stuck with the first one. Should have left it there.
So, in summary...
Okay.
That looks like a pretty much a slam dunk for the British plug, I think.
Okay.
Don't you?
Yeah, well, apart from the last one. But yeah. So, it's just safer. So why have other countries not adopted it?
Presumably they didn't have the same starting point that we did, where we had that lack of copper.
Oh, okay.
We needed to put a lot of security, a lot of safety into the plug itself because the houses weren't made wired up that safely.
Yeah.
So having a good solid plug with all these safety features and a fuse meant that we could maintain a level of safety. These days we've got proper modern circuit breakers like other countries. So it's not really necessary anymore. It's actually, if anything, probably over-designed. But
so all of these safety features we don't actually need them. So they're mostly redundant.
Well, it depends on how you see it. Like, I don't think they're necessarily redundant. It's just...
It's nice to be safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have I proved that the UK plug's the best?
To me, maybe. I mean, yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Well, if you disagree, please write a comment below. Is there something I've missed? Have I made a mistake? Then tell me about it.
We're going to get loads of angry comments about this, I know.
Do you think so?
You're going to start international plug wars.
If you, like me, are a plug nerd, then you need counselling. No, if you...
How many plug nerds do you have around the world? Electricians? No,
Yeah.
best not call electricians plug nerds. So.
No. Oh, that's a good name for a company of electricians, isn't it?
Plug nerds.
Yeah. Let's start up a company. Plug nerds.
Don't want to.
No. Okay, anyway, if you enjoyed this video about these things, then, like our channel. We also do a podcast where we talk about usability of different things. Yeah, so go and have a listen to that. Thank you for watching anyway. Bye.
Okay, bye.